Yes, during the budget process, we prioritized our budget proposals. The SPAC has made a request that we make a commitment to the port-a-potties that are placed around town now. They have put up 3. One of them has recently moved. When this was originally considered, it was fairly high on the priority list. I don't remember the exact number right now, but it was high. Some of the recent discussion has been whether there might be a potential for cost sharing on this. The budget is upside down. Nothing else that is on the priority list has been funded at this point. On the other hand, they did make a pretty good case last year that that it was working, was effective, and that we're seeing less in the way of human waste in the alleys in the downtown area. So anyway, I think what we're mainly waiting to do is hear what you all have to say about it, and whether or not you want to give us advance notice that you want it in the budget so we can include it. And I think the program is going to continue with city funding. We ought to make the decision fairly soon, even though you don't have to make the final decision until the budget's made within probably next week or the week after. Okay?
All right. I have my ideas, and I'm sure Commissioner Moore and Olson have their ideas, and so any one of us can start out and say what we want to say, I guess.
I believe that this is an essential service we need to provide for our citizens, whether they're homeless or occasional guests going through town. It was identified in our visioning process. We assigned a task force to look into this, and they did their job, and they've come back with great results. I just feel it's an essential service that needs to be done. And if we don't do it through the budget, I proposed something last week that I'll propose again. And that's that the commissioners consider relinquishing some of their health benefits to support this. There's a $10,000 offer on the table that can be easily done. So I'll stop right there and let the other commissioners jump in, and I can explain more if need be.
Go ahead.
Well, I talked to Marilyn off the record here the other day. I says, you know, we're all trying to make things work and work together on this. And I proposed that we found some money, okay, that we actually, what we do is instead of having the 3 porta-potties, we reduce it to 2. Because the one we're having a slight of an issue with beyond the library, and that the city would actually fund 6 months. We would be around $1,500 to $1,800 that the city would, I think, or $3,000, well, $1,500 each. Is that, yeah. So it'd probably be around $3,000, $3,200 or something. That the city, oh, I see, we fund 6 months, which is actually only the $1,500, $1,600, $1,700.
Would be about 25 probably.
Well, for 6 months, but we're cutting it back to 2.
Maybe
So,
2,000.
To 2 porta-potties.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we had a total. I thought we had 4,500 for 3 or.
We've given you a budget of 5,000 for the 3.
5 for the 3. Okay. So that's basically 1,800 a piece or 1,850 or something. So we're looking at 3,600 for the year for 2. Half of that is $1,800, or thereabout, because it's not 5,000. We're eliminating 1. So I mean,
Somebody will have to do the math.
Yeah. Basically, my proposal is the city picks up the slack, and that we thank the group for doing what they've done, and that we fund it for the first 6 months. But at that point, and I've even offered to put some money into, Marilyn and I together, we'll put some money into a fund to start raising money for the last 6 months of this. Okay. For that, trying to raise some money that way. It's a compromise from 3 to 2. It's a compromise on only half the money, but that's what I feel, you know, rather than say no or yes on all of it with money we don't have, I think we could probably pay for 6 months for 2 And if it continues at that point, it would have to be money that's raised for this year. Following years, there might be a lot more in the budget to deal with this more effectively, maybe even some actually stick-built type of situations. But at the moment, that's my idea. Would be 2 porta potties we only pay for the first 6 months from the city.
I guess I want to acknowledge Commissioner Olson's idea about this. I can appreciate the thinking outside the box. I'm not really sure how that would work. And I would say definitely I would rather personally come up with a different solution. However, if our budget crisis continues on into future years, we definitely may have to look at a solution stemming from that direction. So the proposal that Gary is giving makes some sense, but it does involve the unknown as far as we don't know for sure that we would be able to raise those additional funds. So I'm not sure what we would benefit. I guess it would go through 6 months.
6 months, better than nothing.
I'm not really into that. I think that we need to fund the whole thing for a year. We didn't assign this to them to be fundraisers. You know, if the businesses or other entities aren't going to support it up front, then the city needs to do it. And I'm disappointed that neither commissioner will agree to look at health coverage as a way to do this that would totally fund it and not put the burden on the sewer utility or the community development utility. So I again offer my proposal, and I want to fund it for the full year before the budget cycle ends.
I guess to answer that, Mike, let's just get real with this, okay? You've been a commissioner for 4 years, and I didn't hear this cut the commissioner's health insurance until about...
During the campaign?
Yeah, during the campaign. That was good, and if you lose, then well, what do you lose? You don't lose your health insurance, do you?
I was there for public service, so if you're not, then say you were there for the benefits and go on.
Yeah, I think that this community wants to pay their commissioners salary. I think this commission, the city wants to enable the commissioners to have health benefits like every other employee in the city. And as far as what I have personally given back to the city, to the tune of $10,000 over the past 4 years, did you match that? I'm just saying it's great when you're on your way out the door, when you come up with cut my salary, but you're gone. So, I don't think that this commission is getting overpaid. Health benefits are part of anything that the city does, and I personally I can give you 400 meetings in 4 years that I attended without any money. So on working part-time or full-time, we have, it took you, weeks to figure out we can afford a $9 million water system, and then you want to come against the health benefits of the commission. So to me, I think there's lots of other things.
I think we're off topic here. I just made a proposal.
Yeah, well, it's not off topic because you brought this up and you said you were amazed that we didn't respond to this. Well, I'm responding, and I personally think that if you're the mayor or a commissioner in this city and you get a salary and you get the same benefits that everybody else gets, that I don't think that's the first place you look at taking money from. So that's just my personal opinion. I don't think we're overpaid. I think we're not underpaid, and I know that from my point, I put double the amount which is required of me in meetings and contributions back to the city. So I think that's the wrong place to look for money, but if Commissioner Moore wants to cut her health benefits, that's fine. Question from the public?
May I speak as a member of the committee? Sure. As a point of clarification, yes, we talked about a compromise. I took that suggestion to the committee. We discussed it at length, but did not come to an agreement that that was the ideal solution. We would intend to keep the 3 units, and if I misspeak, interrupt, through the end of our pilot, because we have the money for that. Certainly it would be preferable to have a commitment for funding for the entire year. Part of the hope was that by 6 months into the new year, the revenue will look different and you can somehow find the additional money, because I think the committee agrees with Mike, if I can speak for them, that this is an essential public service. But we're also sympathetic with the budget. But I wanted to clarify that, yes, you and I had spoken personally, but the committee did not take a position supporting the compromise.
And to answer that, just did the committee figure out the proper placement then of the third porta potty? Because that was a question that's been up in the air. Yes.
Just for the sake of those who are here, may not know me, I happen to be currently the chair of the committee. We had quite a discussion on this. And I point out that we renamed ourselves Shelton Poverty Advisory Team. It's been acknowledged that we were given an assignment, we completed it, pending written report. We've given our advice to the city. And there should be no mistake that if the porta potties are to be funded, it's a city responsibility. Second thing I have to say, though, is a comment on the budget process. I'm a lifelong budget warrior, so I'm not a dilettante at this. But it boggles my mind that this thing, because it was not in last year's budget, apparently has to claw its way onto a budget. It was prioritized as an add-on and never given proper status, as best I can understand. I would challenge that public sanitation certainly outranks something that's in that budget. But I want to reiterate that as far as the SPAT is concerned, we've done our job. We're handing a recommendation to the city, and what you do is your choice.
Thank you. That's Toby Kevin for the records. Well, I gave just this, Commissioner Olson gave a suggestion, I gave a suggestion, I think Tracy is thinking about some options here. I know that we're $300,000 out of our reserves to keep the city floating this year. I know that. And so, you know, that's where we are, you know, and I've offered to voluntarily put some money into this. I mean, step up to the plate and let's all throw the money in, you know. We just don't have it in the city budget unless we choose to borrow more money or whatever. So I know when we did this, and we did the trial basis, there was never a guarantee that the city was going to fund this. I mean, there was never a written guarantee that we were going to. We do trial basis, we do this, and so I've given a compromise position, which basically gives you, well, two, but if you want the third one, I still don't have it in where the third one's going to be. That was my question. Do we have a location?
We do. We think that we'll probably put it up by the library because there's a lot of homeless people that gather at the library, and that would be one more bathroom facility. And we also have to think about, we know that $5,000, when you think about it, that's a lot of money. But if somebody's using the alley, that stuff is going right out here into the bay. What's our bay worth? It's worth a heck of a lot more than $5,000.
Well, it looks like it's, Commissioner Moore is the place where, I mean, you know, she needs to probably figure out what she thinks we need to do too, because...
I don't know if this is appropriate, but we have several hands being raised. I don't know, does somebody...
Yeah, well, we opened up the can of worms, though we did, but this is the committee, and we're talking about the committee. I think it was appropriate to void the rules of engagement for that.
So, the general public...
The general public can come in on this, and I guess now would be the better time than anything. But let's do it in a proper way. You sign in, and we give you up to 3 minutes to speak about it.
Okay, and then I will formulate my thoughts during this. I have no solution.
No pressure.
That's fine. And anybody else would like to speak on this, they are more than welcome to. No. Why don't you go ahead and start?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners. My name is Kristen Starr, 1519 South Country. I don't have anything prepared, and for those that know me, I do better when I do. But I have 4 points I would like to make. The first point being, in 6 months, it's going to be summer. People come out in the summer, and we're not sure what number we will have coming to our streets. I'm not sure of the task or this group's statistics on the count that we've done last winter. But the summer is when people are going to be coming out. And my second point is Sociology 101 talks about communities and cities that are a good place to invest. And cities that do a reach out to those in need and help each other are deemed in Sociology 101 as the best place to invest. So I think in our city that we continue to find a way to fund the outdoor usages that are needed by not only our people that live outside, but others that may be walking around town. My third point is that, and I think it's already been addressed, that we have a porta potty up near Shelton Creek, or our new walking trail, because that was one of the first points made on the social problem of waste being in public. And that said, going back to the last commission meeting, Commissioner Tracy acknowledged that 2 of them are in the historic districts at Brewer Park, and even moving it to the library would be in the way in the area. And I feel that we have such a good community that rallying gardeners and contributors and maybe hardware stores and plant stores, that maybe we could put some very attractive planters out there or other art that would deter from I don't want to typecast this or stigmatize it, but in the design of the toilet, which isn't that pleasing to the eye in general. And my 4th point is that it's very important to our businesses and to our tourist visitors that when they come to our city, that they see a city that I fell in love with, that is so clean and organized and wonderful. And I think that, even having porta potties in public view shows that we care. And I think that's an important image to continue to represent. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Kathy McDonald.
Hello, Commissioners and Mayor. Did we receive some large amount from the state to go towards our economic development of our city when Simpson closed their doors? Are we paying a large amount to a consultant to figure out how to spend these dollars? Let's take some of this money. It is economic development to have bathroom facilities around the city for people, visitors and residents. So if we could take some of that money and put towards the porta potties that are very important for the city. Thank you.
All right, any other, Mr. Cooper?
Thank you very much, Commission. Forrest Cooper for 9 West Railroad. I just want to say, first off, thank you so much for allowing some public comment during an issue like this. I think that's a really good thing to do whenever you are kind of in a bind, when you're looking for ideas. Open up the idea pool to the community and let's see what comes at it. Something that I would suggest as an idea would be to possibly look at the budget that's set aside for abatement and see if there's some way to utilize some of that for funding of this process, or possibly suspend some of the abatement stuff for a year. The abatement program has been fantastic. Steve's done a great job with it, but that also, part of the abatement strategy was to get rid of these areas that are being occupied by homeless. So this actually goes right along with that by creating bathroom facilities.
Good point. I don't think we have any money for abatement. I'm not sure.
Did you take it out of the budget this year? Because there was $48,000 originally discussed.
Well, we'll have leftover dollars from 2015 going into 2016. And I'm not sure exactly how much is there, but it's enough to continue the program.
Okay. And then one more piece of actual data for you guys to think about with this bathroom situation, and I would highly respectfully ask that the papers and the media, please don't report this, because it's tough for me to actually say because it could be detrimental to businesses. We have a block downtown currently that behind it is being used as a public restroom area on a regular basis because it has a nice hole in between two buildings. Okay, and you can walk by there and actually smell the human waste. And what it has led to is it's actually led to a real heavy rodent problem that's taken place on this particular block. There's several blocks that are having it. There are upwards of 20, 30 rats being caught in businesses downtown on a regular basis. So I want you guys to keep in mind that these also help with rodent control and with pest control. So keeping the feces and the urine off the streets helps keep the rat population down. So, and I think the papers understand why I respectfully ask that keep that to a minimum, because we want people to know that the business owners are doing everything they can to keep their buildings clean and safe.
Okay, thank you very much. Anybody else want to speak from the public concerning this issue? So there was a couple of possible funding sources. One is the abatement program. The other was the fact that we have money possibly from the state. I believe you're talking about the $500,000 that's shared between the county and Economic Development Council and the city. Most of that money has kind of already been in our budget and dedicated. So I guess we can make it work, but at some point, the reason we're close to $60 million in debt is because, not on this issue, but on all issues, is we just outspend the money that we bring in. And so the way I have tried to help myself is personally putting money into some of this stuff. But obviously I don't have an extra $500,000. So I don't have an extra 5 today. So you've heard all the public comments. I sounds like it's fully funded. I was offering to probably half fund it for 6 months, and maybe you have a plan that would fill in the void or whatever.
Well, I wish that I had the perfect answer. I think my first choice, of course, is what we would all like, is for it to be fully funded. The difficulty, as we all know, and why we are throwing out these ideas, is we don't know where this money is going to come from. And it's extremely frustrating that it is not a lot of money. It's in comparison to our many projects that we do. It is not a lot of money for this. I believe wholeheartedly that it is a human dignity issue besides all the health problems that are caused. I wasn't aware there were problems with rodents, but that makes sense, and that's disgusting. And I'm interested in the abatement budget idea. I would need to talk with staff about that to find out even if that money can be transferred. I am not totally sure that we can take money out of one pot and throw it in another pot that easily. Once again, I will say I appreciate Commissioner Olson's idea that is sacrifice. My major issue and my major hesitation with that is that I know how difficult it was for the city to attract people to run for commission before there was health benefits and there was something for that. I don't have any answers, and I don't know that we're at a stage right now to come up with the answers or a solution.
Takes two. All it takes is 2. I mean, we can fully fund it and then, just find the money and plug up the hole and everyone moves on down their happy way, I guess. I think we're all for it. I mean, nobody's here saying we're against anything, but I guess it's all a matter of fight for dollars. So I guess I would make a motion that the city, the only problem with it is on the location of the 3rd porta potty. We have an issue where it is now. We want to move it. Where we move it, we need a consensus with the neighbors or the library that this is okay.
We're working on that.
That's where we are with it. But I think I would put a motion that we fully fund it for 1 year and that we find the money to do it. Okay? So that's the best motion I can give you and the best answer I can give you today. And we just have to figure out whether we can get that out of the abatement money. Sounds like it's a possibility. The abatement program is one of the best programs we've got, folks. We're taking houses and if we could sell some of that property, then we put it back into it. It's a self-funding program. So I hate touching that money, but it sounds like from the committee at large, people want to promote this and continue to do this. So I would make a motion, we fully fund it for 1 year, and that if we can't take it out of the abatement money, then we find some other place to take it out.
Okay, I have one question about that before.
Absolutely.
So are you thinking 2 porta potties? Are you thinking 3 porta potties that we're going to?
They want 3, and they're gonna put the other one where people aren't gonna object to it. Okay, that's our
So
commitment.
that's
Three.
not, okay.
It's 3.
Okay.
They want 3, we'll give them 3, and we, you know, I mean, it sounds like the public wants this too. I mean, we had public comment, and both comments from them, and 3 comments from them, it sounds like it's a step in the right direction, so.
I have one more question for Steve. Sorry to put you on the spot here, Steve. I know that we have some abatement issues that we've been working on, and we were kind of working at the top end of the abatement monies. If we were to take this money out of the abatement fund, would that leave us enough money to remove the dangerous #1 building that we've been trying to get rid of?
I don't know. There will be some monies in this year's budget that will go unspent in the abatement program. My understanding is there's not abatement money in the 2016 budget. Whatever money is in this current budget would be simply carried over for whatever different CD programs we would, I guess, prioritize from that. It's likely that CD will have enough funding to fund this for a year. It's also means that it's less likely we would have the funding to complete what are really the 2 priority abatement projects left on the top 10 list. The old bowling alley structure on First Street and the brick building at 2nd and Grove. Those are very expensive demolitions. We've been looking for ways to reduce the cost of those, and that's primarily why they're still standing. They're probably fairly expensive endeavors no matter how we approach it, and it's been difficult to find the money and the resources to do that. One of the elements we've been trying to accomplish with the bowling alley building is to salvage all of the wood that we can and finding the right person to do that. But to be candid, it's unlikely we'd have enough funding to tackle either of those projects.
Okay, so what we have to keep in mind if we go ahead and remove some of our abatement money is that we're left with the potential liability of those 2 buildings if something happens.
And what staff would likely recommend is if we were to continue with any demolitions, it would be something simple and less costly. Again, because of the cost, we probably can't tackle those structures at this time.
Can I ask Dave Leary, where would be another source of $5,000 for this? Is there anything else that comes to your mind? I mean, I don't know. Yeah, it'd be hard to take it out of the fund that Kathy McDowell talked about, the consultant, because we've already gone through the process of making, I mean, that's.
We've already got
it's not
a grant, we've got a grant, we've already approved.
all approved,
And
right.
it's,
It's
you know,
not
there are-
easy to just take that money out
There
of
was
the
a
fund.
set of projects that we said, this is what we want to do. The state has approved it, and if we try to do something different, then
You gotta rewrite that, yeah.
Then the grant, you know, it violates the grant
Yeah.
term, so it, you know,
Sure,
I
understand.
won't say it's possible, but
I
it's
understand it.
unlikely.
Yeah.
This is a sanitation, a public works issue. I mean, I don't know, keeping, you know,
And maybe you
sanitation.
can, you know, maybe you can do it you might consider it a sewer issue. We haven't really talked about it in sufficient depth. We do put out garbage cans around town, collect trash. Why can't we put out outhouses to collect the other stuff? But I don't know, we have, you're looking at the person who we're gonna consult with, and when you try to do something like that, she starts talking about auditors. And
I understand.
Talk to the attorney.
We could, well, I think we have to, we've spent a lot, not wasted any time, but spent a lot of time on this. I think we're sympathetic. I think we might be able to make this happen. okay? But I think what we'll do is put this under old business and come back next week, or,
You made a motion.
well, I did.
It wasn't
Yeah.
seconded.
It wasn't seconded.
I'll
and-
second it.
Okay. Boy, but I said that's only if we could find the money. I said, we have a problem finding the money, but I did make a motion.
You did.
Because I was wanting to push this meeting a little farther down the road. Okay, well, Mike seconded it, so
Please refresh my memory with the actual.
the actual motion is whether we're gonna fund it for 1 year, and we're gonna try to find the $5,000 to do it. And one source is out of the abatement money, and then we went into how much money is there, are we gonna have that, so, but I don't think that's the only source, I think there might be some other sources or other things, and whether it's public works or sanitation or whatever, but we can't make those decisions till we confer with maybe our attorney, maybe with our, the auditor questions, all these things, so I made a motion hoping that the abatement money was going to be the sole answer, but I'll stick with my motion. I mean, if then Commissioner Olson seconded, so that's,
Point of clarification, are you saying we're gonna try or we are?
well, the motion is we do it, so we have to find the money, so,
That's what I second.
yeah.
I have something I could say that would mitigate. I just bought 100 porta-potty buttons.
Buttons.
They're yours. 'Cause we're not gonna need them.
We could sell them.
Well,
They're kind of like
I'll give 'em to
jewelry, aren't
Well,
they?
you give them to me and then I'll sell them and I'll put the money in the fund,
Amen.
See, the other option is that this group, we can raise some money, okay? We
Yes.
could put some little things in and we can possibly help on that a little bit. But I guess there's no simple answer, but I need to talk to the administrator, like I did, and talk to the, our wonderful Kathy Byerly and say, what can we do? And go back to the drawing board. I mean, I think it's something that the community wants. You did your part, the community has spoken, anybody that's got a concern has said they would like it to happen. So I made the motion, Commissioner Olson seconded it. So any further discussion? We will find the money, okay?
Yay.
Any further discussion?
You gonna vote for it?
I'm gonna vote for it. $5,000.
Take a vote on your motion.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Okay. That's how democracy happens, we make it happen, okay. So forget the old business thing, we're gonna make it happen. That was the first and second and final reading.